everyone, how's everyone doing out there? If this is your first time here, I'm Gil. Alrighty, let's do a little roll call, see who's in here. Well, the one that was really early tonight was P2E, formerly known as Prepping to Endure. We got Michael 58, Maccabeus Off Grid and Everyday Survival. We have Butch at Sand Hollow Homestead. Yeah, the Llc Farm. All right, and if anybody didn't get a chance to see it tonight, the Llc Farm had a premiere with their featherweight trailer. I think it's what it's called, featherweight trailer. Really interesting, all aluminum trailer. Looks really nice. Looks really cool. Modern Refugee just hopped in here. Hey, how's it going? All right. I thought Uncle Al was going to be joining me here tonight, but he's been responding on emails on all his videos I caught up on, giving him thumbs up. So maybe he'll show up here shortly. All right. And so tonight's topic: should you organize a CAG, MAC, MAG, or LLC? And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about on these, haven't heard all these terms, no, let's see here. Well, let's have some definitions first so everybody knows what it is we're talking about here, and we can have a discussion on it. All right, so an LLC, basically it stands for a limited liability company. That's the official definition of it, but sometimes people call it a limited liability corporation. And what an LLC is when it comes to a group, survival group, well, basically, as you can see, everything vary in size from small, such as 5 families, to large, having over 100 members or 100 families, if you will. They're set up as a legal company, corporation, or other such entity, and the members are basically shareholders or leaseholders in the LLC. Now, LLCs generally, they usually are very structured with specific rules. They have bylaws set up because it's a company, all right? They have all the legalese stuff done. They have a written membership charter, membership dues, all that fun stuff. They usually have a large plot of land somewhere that the company owns as a retreat. You want to call it a retreat, a redoubt, whatever you want to call it, bug out location. And a lot of the good ones, they have, barns, other, central buildings set up on it. And then the leaseholders get like a 5-acre plot or a 1-acre plot around the core hub of the like the barns, the main cafeteria, the main meeting buildings and stuff like that. And so that's what an LLC is. A lot of the good ones, they'll do background checks before a person's allowed to join. Okay, you've got Mary Beth in here and Delta Papa. Hey guys, how you doing? So now the next one on the list there was a MAC, a mutual assistant community, sometimes called a mutual assuredness community. Now, MAC, the sizes of the MACs vary from the small, just 15 families, to the very large. I mean, some MACs, have encompassed almost an entire small town out in the middle of nowhere. All right, that's how big, big MACs can get, just like an LLC. Now, generally, they have the MACs are set up with 2 different ways. They have some MACs are and when it goes into the second part here, MAC, it comes from a MAC to a MAG. But a MAC, being a community, is set up locally, and generally they do not own specific land for member uses, but sometimes they will lease something locally, a building or whatever, where they can keep supplies at, they can meet at, and they can do have their training and everything at locally in a urban or suburban area. Um, you know, they're not found near the downtown part of cities like San Francisco, LA. They'd be more on the outskirts, like like down for LA. They'd be more like out in Glendale, Pasadena, Tahunga. Out farther away where you're still close to the city, but you're more suburban rather than urban. Now, Macs, being a community type setup, generally do not have buy-in requirements, nor do they require written membership charter. Because they have the number of people they usually do, they have a lot of skilled people in them. But with that in mind, they stress that everybody train in different skills. All right, and moving on, a MAG, a mutual assistance group or mutual assuredness group. MAGs are generally MAGs are large, but not as large as MACs can be, because it's not free to join, and they are more structured than a MAC. They have more like an LLC with written rules and bylaws. MAGs sometimes are set up as a legal entity, as an S corp or a trust, or even a company. Members are often more spread out than those of a MAC or a CAG, and some members live as far away as a 10-hour drive. But generally, like, you'll see some of the MAGs have bought old missile silos and converted them. They've got some of them have 100-acre ranches out and set up, and so they are a little more ritzy from what the ones I've seen than anything I've discussed so far. Now, generally, the MAG's upper leadership or core group is not voted on. They are permanently in place, or if they are voted on, it's for 6-year terms or longer. Some MAGs will have membership buy-in costs and dues, annual dues and stuff similar to an LLC. Now CAG has, we have the rules here, but I'm just going to skip ahead and cover it a little bit differently so they stand out a little bit better here. Yeah, I got a little fancy there. All right. So basically, a CAG is a community assistance group, and I forgot to put that up here. Now, generally, the largest CAGs are smaller than most MACs, and they usually have like 5 to 15 people, families rather, 5 to 15 families, because it's a community. Okay, it's set up as smaller. They're found in urban and suburban areas, usually a neighborhood or several blocks thereof. So they're a tight-knit group. They are also sometimes found in rural areas where several farmers, get together and stuff. They form a little community of support for each other. Most of their membership is local within the community, although sometimes they have members, maybe relatives of local members that live a short distance away, generally less than 10 miles away. Hey, Uncle Al. Hey, I sent you, on the phone in the lobby. Okay, that's why Uncle Al's not up here. All righty. The CAGs themselves do not generally own specific land for member use. CAGs don't plan on bugging out unless it is a very severe event, and then they plan on convoying out of the area to some place they may have picked, some national park or whatever. But generally, their plan is to bug in and support each other. All right. Generally, they do not have dues of any type or buy-in requirements, nor do they usually have written membership charter. I have seen a couple have been called in to help, work with them that do have a membership rule book, as it were. As Uncle Al said, can't stay long. More people died from RD. Oh boy. Not good. All right. Now, the CAGs are generally easier to join than most of the other groups I've mentioned so far. But since they are so small, they generally cannot provide the resources of larger groups. They'll often try to recruit any medical professionals, mechanics, plumbers, other service professionals that live in their neighborhood, in the boundaries of their CAG as much as possible. And they especially promote cross-skill training. And some of the CAGs I've dealt with, where I've been called in to help train them and stuff, are actually, they spring forth from CERT groups, the community emergency response teams. And generally one of the teams in the CERT program bond together so well, and they're like a little neighborhood community, that they go beyond and they form a CAG. All right, Uncle Al, see you later. Urban Grandpa Prepper, hey, how's it going? Christy Betts, hey. All right. Making sure I caught everybody here on the side chat. Welcome everybody in. All right. So basically, these are the gist of the different ones that are out there. And as you can see, going over it, each one of these so far has positive attributes and negative attributes depending on your outlook. One of the things I find interesting is that sometimes people will join one group, start out with say a Mac, and because the Macs sometimes get bigger than they prefer, they'll go off and join another group, or they will form their own group that it can be either a CAG or a LLC or a MAG. So, and one of the things to look for in some of these are those that have bylaws and rules specifically, because some of them are a little draconian in their rules as far as membership goes. Some of them say, all right, yeah, you join, you're required to have 6 months worth of food at the bug out location, and so much ammunition and so much this. But if you quit the group, that's you forfeit your food and stuff you put up there. And so if you ever come across a group like that, don't join them, because any supplies that are your supplies that go up there are still your supplies, and you should be able to remove them. Each of these, it depends what you want out of a group. If you're just looking for support in local living and stuff, a CAG is probably the best of them. Then comes a MAC, as far as, because a MAC is still community based, but it's a lot larger sphere of influence for a community based organization. That's right, Christy. You pay for it, it's yours. Now, let me back up here on some of these. All right, MAGs. Oh, well, okay, they will often own land, and that's where they want you to put stuff up. But they have generally some MAGs and some LLCs will have membership levels, and depending on your buy-in costs and your dues depends on the level of perks you get. You may have like a minimum buy-in level is like you have a place, you have like a 1/4 acre to park an RV and do a garden. And the next level up, you may have a 1/2 acre place to park an RV, and or build a small, house and have a garden. And so that's the way some of them go. Hey, Howie's in the house. We have Howie here. Food, forest, permaculture. And so, so you got the mags and go back up one more, LLCs, that own, generally, these are the ones that own the land, own some property out there away from population areas. Basically, it's a bug out location, retreat, redoubt, whatever you want to call it, that you go to. P2E, let me get back. Okay. POS JF, I don't know him or know them. He has a structured group. You can have a structured group, but if you don't have, some of the legalese type stuff involved in it, you could fall into a totally different category than the main ones I'm talking about here. Because there are some other ones. Do I have it up here, open here, my Word doc on it? No, I don't. Let me pull this up. So I'm working on another video to put out. No. Hang on. Get rid of that. There we go. Called Types of Survival Groups, and it covers a lot more. I cover the lone wolves, the LLC, the MACs, the CAGs, the MAGs. Then I get into teams, tribes, villages, wolf packs. So there are other ones here, but most of the people in this community, a wolf pack is not for them. Villages, because villages really get some weird things, and tribes really get some weird ideas. The ones that call them that. The teams are more radical, if you will. They're more militaristic. So, Viking preparedness on YouTube. I have not seen that channel. There are so many channels on YouTube. I'm sorry, I have not seen Viking preparedness. But does he make the people in his group pay dues or not? Okay, Pastor Joe Fox up in the Ozarks. Well, being a pastor, no, he is a religious group. You lose your stuff if you leave. If you lose your stuff if you leave, that's not a group to get associated with, in my opinion. You should be able to buy in. Dues and buy-in fees are forfeited generally if you leave. That's a given at the beginning. But any of your supplies you have up there, if they're going to try to say that you lose your stuff, don't even get involved with them. So, and you have to be a member of his church. Okay, so yeah, that is a type of a community. If you're a member of his church, that may fall under a CAG, but it sounds like you got more strict rules and stuff, which kind of spreads over the boundary into a MAG. So, yeah, that type of a group. Not anything against anybody religious or anything. I would not any type of group like that where it says, you have anything you have at the place here, you lose. No. All right. So, like I said, each of these do have positive and negatives, and this is just general classifications I'm covering right now. And so, one of the things is dealing with these is you look at some of the ones around to see if they're right for you, and if none of them are right for you, now we get to the meat of this: is you may want to form your own. So let me go back down here. All right. And one of the things you have to decide is, will a prepper group really improve your survival odds? And it's not just survival odds that I look at, it's thriving. Are you just surviving, or are you going to thrive? And if you're just barely surviving, that's not exactly what I call a good group, because you should be able to thrive. So when it comes to any type of group at all, think about it. Talk with your family about it. Say, hey, do we want to look into this? Is this something we might be interested in? Get your family's opinion, because if you make a decision and your whole rest of your family is like, no, go pound salt, we have no intention of doing that. But if you talk to them over and cover the reasons why a group might be, it's something to look at. And Urban Grandpa Prepper just brought up a point. One of the things with groups is, especially if even if you're like a small neighborhood group, if something big happens and you guys can like block off your area, become a community. You have a lot of people, which means you have people that can do shift work, and that's good and bad. You have people, basically put out people for security, for guards and stuff. The bad part about doing that is you have to rotate who's out there. So one night or 2 nights a week, you may have to pull half a night shift out there on guard duty. What's good about having guards is, though, you can work your gardens and everything else, and everything else you need to do, and not have to worry about being overrun quite as much. If you're by yourself, you got to sleep sometime, and when you sleep, you're vulnerable. Do research. Now, I'm not giving you all the information here. Hopefully I'm titillating your taste buds, and you're going to go out and do some research to figure out what type of group you want to be. If you need to be part of a group, what type of group you need to be part of. Excuse me. Time to drink some water. Do some research of the types of groups that are in your area that you might want to be a part of, and make sure their philosophy matches up with your philosophy. Because if it doesn't match up with your philosophy, you don't want to be part of it. Make some primary plans. Figure out, okay, make some decisions after you've done your research on paper. Write it all up. Have a family meeting. Get their feedback, what they think about it, and things that they might want to do. And if you're thinking about doing a CAG, which a community group, in casual conversation, broach the subject with friends in your neighborhood. Find out what they think about start with current events. What do you think about the stuff that's going on? The protests, the riots, the Red Dragon, and whatever's going on, to find out whether or not they are of similarly like mind and something you might want to work with. After you've come up with a few people, if you want to form your own group, sorry, I got my itchy nose here. If you want to form your own group, then get these people, hold a fact-finding meeting with these people, see how many, get some of them, invite them together, say, hey, we're concerned about current events, and talk to them, see how many of them are really of like mind and want to do it. Whatever you do, please do not rush into any decision. Okay, I'm just looking at the side chat here. Modern Refugee says we just hang with the neighbors. So he sounds like he's got good neighbors. They're all of like mind. I mean, that's sometimes what it is. A CAG can be a very informal, a very informal organized group. And sometimes it's just like, hey, we're just going to get together once a month, or whatever, just to, see if anybody needs help, anybody's having problems. How's your garden doing? Anybody needs help in the garden? Do you know something that someone else knows, or do they know something that you need to know to get things going? Okay, Jehodak Maccabeus. I live in a hamlet on a river in the middle of nowhere. 8 families, good skill set, security, while maintaining independence. Great. Now, one of the interesting things, that let me throw that up here so everybody can see that. One of the interesting things about a situation like this is communications. Some people have invested in a makeshift phone system where everybody has a phone in the house, and you pick it up and you can either push a button to ring all and everybody gets on as a party line, or you can push a button to any of the other specific houses. So you got like eight families there. So you'd have like a 9-button thing. Number 1 does this, number 2 does this, and something like that. There are options out to have good, fast communications. And so in one of the guys I was talking with, that they left California a couple years ago, and they went up to northeastern Washington, and they set up there. And now they're, like when the last time I was communicating, they wish they had gone to Idaho, because Idaho is a much more friendly state. And they set up a bunch of communications with each other so that they could, because they were out where there was no cell service. So they set up a communications thing so they could, do that. One of the other things they did, they also put up an old-fashioned civil defense siren. Let everybody know, hey, time to come in out of the fields or whatever. We got a problem here in, this our little community here. Everybody needs to be here right away. So I hope I'm getting enough information out there to you guys to think about stuff. Yeah, it's amazing how a disaster or a event like the what's going on now with the Red Dragon changes people's minds. And they're like, wow, you weren't weird. You're just, And the thing is, though, when you're talking to people about, being prepping and stuff, one of the things I found that works out good is talk about your grandparents or great grandparents. Like me, I was like, yeah, my grandmother on my mom's side lived up by Coeur d'Alene. She has 14 brothers and sisters up there on the farm, and yeah, they grew all their own food. They did hunting and stuff. They only went to town for certain things, like they go in, they trade some of the livestock they grew and get flour. And they tried growing. They'd grow a little winter wheat up there. They'd grow corn, all the vegetables and stuff, and can everything. But they did go to town to get other supplies and stuff. And you bring back. Okay, hang on, I gotta put this other one up. Have a large cast iron church bell. Yes, that works. That gets everybody's attentions. And so when I talk about the old stuff, they go, oh, wow, yeah, what did you learn from her? And I talk about how when I was little, I learned how to can blackberry jam, apricots, made applesauce. We had pigs, chickens, we had a milk cow. I talked about the stuff that I learned. And it's like, hey, if something happens, say, hey, I got this knowledge and skills and stuff I can use where I'm not going to be out there desperate for food because I can grow my own food. And if any of you haven't seen it, I have a video, two videos about my wife's garden back in California. And the front yard is not grass. There's no grass at all in the front yard. It is a garden, raised planter beds, everything. Got a big tree there, and under the tree she has, the stuff that needs to be shaded. And she's got sunflowers, squash, zucchini, pumpkins, patty pans, butternut, strawberries, tomatoes, several different varieties of Swiss chard. She has lettuce, a bunch of stuff like that. And so everybody in the neighborhood that walks by and stuff, they all know and they talk about stuff. And since she started doing that, there's been several other families in the neighborhood that have got rid of their front yard and turned it into a garden. And some of them have just done their backyard and turned it into the garden because they wanted to keep their garden secret. Well, our backyard too, there is no grass in the backyard in California. There's a Granny Smith, a Fuji apple tree. There's 3 different types of orange trees, 3 different types of lemon trees, 2 cherry trees, nectarine, a plum. I'm going around trying to remember all the trees my wife planted back there. We got some big, huge raised planter beds in the back. Oh, she has like 6 or 7 artichoke plants growing back there, and a bunch of other stuff. There's a couple of apricot trees in big 100-gallon tubs. 3 gongs by land, 2 by river. I love it, Jehodak. And so there are ways to get people involved in prepping without them thinking, oh, I'm a prepper now. And there's a lot of interesting ways to prep and to share with those around in the neighborhood. And those that are interested in learning stuff, those are the ones you want to be associated with. Because if they're interested in learning, most likely they're then doing as well. So one of the things here, wow, it's only been a half hour. I've already gone through just about everything. I was hoping to have Uncle Al on here firing off, because he likes to, when it comes to these groups and stuff, he likes to say, this is what's wrong with this type of group. This is what's wrong with that type of group. And it's really good to have, because he really picks up hard on the stuff. Hey, Keith Kronk. Hey, how's it going? And so Uncle Al likes to pick on some of these groups and stuff as far as, how are they going to serve you. But like I mentioned before, any type of group you have, that if it's a local community neighborhood, even it's like, it's a 2-square block area, or 4 blocks that getting together to support each other. The one thing that's a drawback on like a CAG or a MAC is that within the boundaries you are going to have some naysayers. And you can say, ignore them. But if like there is a EMP and all the power goes down, now everybody's struggling for food and stuff, you're going to have these ones in the middle there that you're going to have to watch out for that may or may not come around. With a LLC or a MAG, generally everybody knows something like an EMP or something else that takes everything down that is a Milwaukee situation. Hey, they're all on their way to their bug out location, their retreat, redoubt, whatever, if they can get there. And that's one of the drawbacks of LLCs and MAGs, is that their location is generally a ways away. And if you have something where vehicles don't work, how are you going to get there? Yeah. And that's one of the things you got to watch out for. How, the makeup of the group, are positions voted on? If they're voted on, what's the terms? Because basically you're setting up a government type thing. And so one of the things you involved in that is you find out from everybody, how are you set up, who votes, how often has leadership changed? And one of the things to involved with an LLC and some mags is if the person is the leader, is in the leadership position, and he holds a vast superior amount of stock in the LLC or whatever, it's going to be kind of hard to remove him. And so that's the things you got to look at when trying to join one of these groups. And that's why I put this up. Do you want to form your own? And looking at this, depending on what type you want to form, whether it's going to be a CAG or a MAC, or whether it's going to be an LLC type or a MAG type, whether you go to another location in disasters and stuff. I'll do your... Exactly, Keith. I already pointed out, there are some channels say, oh, you got, this is the only way to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And, you got to join our Patreon. You got to join our this. You got to join our that. Some of those I'm not too thrilled. They're out there on YouTube putting out stuff and everything. And to me, if they're putting it out there as a group type thing, I'm a little more leery about them. And do your research, do background checks on them. And there are ways to find out about people in groups. There are companies out there, you give them the name and stuff, and they can do a check on them. Yeah. Okay. Adversity brings out the worst in some people. Some people actually brings out the best because they're very altruistic and they just want to help. Yeah. Exactly. And so you got to, got to watch out on that. So one of the things, if you're going to start your own, don't expect it to happen right away. You got to, do your research, get your family involved in it, start making plans, get some friends in your neighborhood or whatever that work, whatever you're going to do, whether you're going to have a place you go to, or whether it's just going to be the community around you, where everybody's just going to help each other out and look out for each other. There's a lot of things to do, and some of these groups have so little on paper that the group is going to fall apart when adversity hits for a little while till they realize they need to pull together. Yeah, some of them. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I did jump. Sorry. We go back up here first. Y'all need us. Medical good with weapons. Also, yeah. Some of them are just bragging on all they can do, but they can't back it up. And that's what I like about Steve at Corsair Trainers. He put out his credentials. Hey, here you go. Here's mine. And then Anthony Pimento Perry did the same thing. put his out, and then Reed at Manifestations Imagination, hey, they put theirs out. Yeah, and that's sometimes that's the way it happens. Urban Grandpa Prepper, you get a small group together, but then one gets a better job elsewhere and he leaves, and then he said one died and the house was torn down. So yeah, and your group is getting smaller and smaller. Okay, Modern Block, just some channels for information, some for skills, some for, okay. Yeah, good thing, Modern Refugee. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah, Christy, yeah. You had some people fighting over milk and bread, and others were the type you want to have. They were walking miles to take families' kerosenes for their heaters. Mm. Yeah. Now I talk about some of the stuff I have. So, but what I do, like right now, I'm going to show my garden and stuff. I'm trying to get other people to get out there and do their gardens as well. So basically, I'm trying to get out information. I'm not trying to get anybody to come join my group here in Idaho. So unless you're really serious about coming up to Idaho, yeah, they first open up with weapons. Yeah, it's like shoot, when was that? 2 weeks ago. I had Uncle Op, we were talking, and it was like is that the three types of people you don't want to be involved with during an SHTF or Tawaki event, and one of the ones that says guns, 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 guns. No, sorry. It's like I got two hands. How many guns can I use with two hands? Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. Like, I'm trying to get this property rehabbed up here so we can go to an older style of living. Today, my some neighbors came over and brought my daughter. Actually, they brought a couple days ago. They brought my daughter a whole couple boxes of apricots, and so today my daughter was canning apricots, and she canned 11 the first batch, 6 and 6. So she did 23 pints of apricot jam today. Yeah, exactly, Lala Farm. It's you don't go out and rush to stock up. It's a little here, a little there, a little bit more here, a little bit more there, and you just build it up. Yeah, one box at a time. Mary Beth has been having good on that. Yeah, when it comes to the firearms, sorry, just reading one of the comments down below. When it comes to firearms and stuff, like I said, I can only use so many. And with what I have, what my daughter and her husband has, what my youngest son has, and and for my wife and my other son, we got more than enough. We got, for hunting and defending the property. So we're not really, there's one or two I'd like to get. I was watching Read Manifestation Imaginations about the his video was on the FN 5.7. At the end of it, he said, Ruger's now come out with a 5.7 that's half the price and has a lot more flexibility on it. And so I was looking at that. I might be interested in that, but I'm not going to go hog wild over it. Yeah, Keith, OPSEC, operational security. Exactly, Mary Beth. You don't need so many. To me, you need a small caliber, like a 22, for hunting small game, a bigger one like a 30-30 for hunting big game, and then a something like a mini 14 for chasing off the varmints and the skunks, the quote pole cats, two-legged variety. All righty, let's see what other stuff we had. Yeah, good. So, guys, if you haven't checked with your neighbors, check with your neighbors. If that's what you want to do. Where I'm at, I've made no bones about where I'm at up here in Idaho. I'm in a small city, and it is an incorporated city, incorporated in 1906. And I'm surrounded by old school preppers. One guy across the street, his business, raising cattle. Guy across the street the other way, he works in a repair shop and does the upholstery work on the side, and he's got an acre-sized garden, and he has goats and stuff. And next to the one that raises cattle, and across the street, kitty corner, both those families have a calf in their yard that they're raising up. Going down south from us, several of the families have huge gardens, and everybody hunts. So there's elk and deer, and all of a sudden we get, my daughter gets, hey, our freezers are full. You guys need some elk meat, or you need deer meat? So in my family group, I have a correction. Okay, we're good. There we go. So he has a corrections officer, police officer. Cool. Yeah. Right now, my youngest son is working for a restoration company where they go in after fires or broken water pipes with it, and they clean it up, do wiring repair, plumbing repair, get the mold out, and all that. All the after what do you call it, reconstruction work to restore the place. And so he has all those skills. Of course, you all know I used to work for Homeland Security as a deputy sheriff, and I was prior to 9/11, I was the chief of security for Chevron Texaco at their corporate headquarters. So, and they got a call to go set up Homeland Security. You need double. Oh, sorry, click back up here. Yeah, it's like, exactly. And probably I may get some arguments and pushback here, but this is just my personal opinion. The 22 is a venerable weapon, and it's cheap. I got a bolt action. I got the Remington Nylon 66. Got my dad's pump action 22. I got a couple 22 revolvers that the cylinder swaps out for a 22 Magnum. Yeah. And then I have a bunch of the other. I got a couple, 30-30 saddle rifles, one I inherited, shotgun that I can use for multiple purposes. Yeah. And then there's all the pistols every day. My youngest son has a 45-70, a Marlin 45-70. I'm not going to tell you what my wife has. She can, if she ever gets on here, she can tell you what she has. But yeah, we have backups to backups, on weapons. But the 22, in my opinion, is probably the best survival firearm to have, other than having the over under 22 on top, 410 shotgun on the bottom. But yeah, getting everybody. Hey, our cabin in the woods. So yeah, it's important in my mind to have some sort of community. That's one of the reasons my wife and I bought the property here in Idaho that we did, was because of some of the people in the community up here. And it's because it's a small community and it's a well-knit community, and we're welcomed in. At first we got glares. You're from California? I'm a Republican. Oh, I am a staunch Republican. Oh, I am a conservative. And so, so we got, welcomed in here, especially when we started cleaning this place up. It turned into an eyesore. We cleaned it up, fixing it up. And so, the community here that we're involved in here is a CAG, or it's a CAG. It's because it's like 4 blocks that way and 4 blocks that way. It's a quarter square mile. The city is. Some of my favorite skills. Good. I like it. Skills channels. Channels to check out, people. Oh. Jehodak, yeah. Besides, we got, my youngest, actually my 2 boys and I all have slingshots, wrist rockets. And we have 6 bows, and my youngest wants to get a crossbow. Yes. Fire is something that's really hard to fight unless you have a lot of equipment. And if you're not home when the fire hits, it sucks. Yeah, there are a lot of great informational cooking channels out there. Southern Farm and Garden, I believe it is. It's, she has cooking. She cooks all the time. Mama Z's Texas Kitchen is a great cooking channel too. And then of course there's Anthony at Pimento Prepared. I mean, he just, he cooks homemade bread all the time. He does all sorts of stuff. He has his garden, and he shares all the things that work and doesn't work, and things like that. Other informational channels for you guys that are great. Pennsylvania Prepper. You want to learn about freeze drying? She has like 150 videos on freeze drying. Old School Prepper up in over in Oregon or Washington. North Star Prepsteader. Kathy at North Star Prepsteader on Mondays goes over a lot. Like last night's was a great live on herbs and stuff and everything like that. She's been covering a lot of that stuff. Really great. Sprinkler system. Yep. I take it you're talking about a firefighting sprinkler system. All right, folks, we're hitting the 1 hour mark, so I'm going to do a quick recap here. This for anybody came in late. So, topic: should you organize a CAG, MAC, or LLC, MAG stuff? All right, so an LLC is a limited liability company, basically a group of people. They form a company, buy land, pay in dues and stuff, very structured. But the property, their retreat, redoubt is usually far away. Next one, a MAC, a mutual assistance community. Basically, it's a suburban type organization type thing where they don't own land, but they all pull together, and it's fairly large groups that wind up being involved in MACs. They generally don't plan on bugging out. A MAG is a little bit similar to can be similar to a LLC. Sometimes they're set up as a legal entity, as an S corp, a trust, or an LLC, but generally it's owned by a few people, and they own most of the stock and most of everything, and everybody else is just buying into for usage and have membership costs and levels of membership and stuff like that. Community assistance groups, very small, small neighborhood groups. Don't own any property. It's just that neighbors banding together to help support each other and learn skills from each other, do some cross training. Sometimes they'll go on camping trips together to go out and practice stuff. I like that, Jehodak. Yeah, PVC pipes with holes on the roof. Yeah. A friend of mine owned some property up by Lake Tahoe. He actually went ahead and put because he had a copper roof on his cabin up there. He put copper pipe up there, put regular sprinklers and just spray on above, and now, like you said, underneath the eaves. And so back to the types here. So community assistance groups are small, easy to form, easy to join. It's usually they're good neighborly people that get together. Some of them have sprung forth from the CERT program, the Community Emergency Response Teams, that just about every city in the country are trying to set up. So, hey, Tibor, we're just wrapping it up, man. So, yes, I covered all that. Covered that. Went through every number of the one things. If either forming your own group or joining a group, think about it. Talk it over with your family. Do research. Come up with some primary plans. If you're planning on doing your own, casually broach the subject in conversation with friends. and neighbors. You know, don't come on gung ho. You know, feel them out, as it were, to what their feelings are on the subject. Don't rush into any decisions. All right, folks. That's it for tonight. I know Uncle Al is very interested in what we're going to be doing on Friday. And Friday is, let me bring it up here real quick. Wrong one. There we go. Friday's going to be survival food. Think outside the box or inside the cereal box. All right, guys. So that's what's coming up on Friday on the Friday night special, 8 o'clock Friday night Mountain Time. And everybody out there, stay safe, stay happy, stay prepared, and we'll see you around on the next video. All right, guys?